800 West Mulholland Highway.
Mulholland Highway.
Calabasas.
Way out there, but it's worth going out there to see you and hear all about it in person.
Well, they can hear me tonight, but they can't see me tonight, unfortunately, right? And I'm reading here that for information, one could call 818-880-5300.
All right. And we'll give you that information a couple of other times. Zechariah's book is Avon, available all over.
May I mention a competing station?
You certainly may.
Monday morning, I'm on the mid-morning LA show on Channel 9.
Mm-hmm. With our good friend Jeff Edwards. And they'll treat you right over there.
Thank you.
And Miss McRae, she's also there. Meredith. We have Bob on the line. Hello, Bob.
Hello, Bill. Hello, Zechariah.
Good afternoon, good evening. I'm just flew in from New York, so...
Okay.
He doesn't know what time of day.
Right.
Okay. Bill, are you familiar with the Rye maps of Alexandria, Egypt?
I thought I was pretty familiar with Egyptology, but that one escapes me. The Rye maps, how do you spell it?
R-I? Re or Rye?
Map?
Mm-hmm.
A map, an actual map?
Yeah, basically, from what I gathered was that these were copies from previous maps.
I think you're talking about the Reis map, R-I-I-S.
Okay,
right,
yes.
Right. Which was found originally in Asia Minor in Turkey.
Yes.
And which seems to delineate the American continent and Antarctica when it was not covered by ice, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And its center was located in the similar area to where you said that spaceport earlier was.
Yes.
I was wondering if the Sumerians had any reference or correlation to the Egyptian maps and how they would be connected together, because the Egyptians have always been associated with the gods and stuff like that, just like the Sumerians.
Yes, I can recommend to you a terrific book which will answer that question in detail.
Okay.
That's my book. It's titled The Wars of Gods and Men, and the previous one, The Stairway to Heaven, which bring into the total picture, because it is, as you say, one tale, one story and one history, brings into the picture and correlates with the Sumerian tales and civilization, the Egyptian mythologies, the pyramid texts, and so on. And the Sumerians definitely were aware of the pyramids. They were aware of the Egyptian beliefs. And indeed, the Egyptians said that their gods have come to Egypt through the Red Sea from a place called Ur-Ta. Ur-Ta is taken to mean the ancient or the olden place. But the name Ur, or Er as many pronounce it, should strike a bell, because that was one of the principal cities in Mesopotamia and ancient Sumer, and the one from which Abraham came. So the Egyptians knew that their so-called gods had come from Mesopotamia, and they were one and the same as the Sumerian ones.
Okay, thank you very much for the information.
You know,
I listen all the time.
All right, thank you very much, Bob. Appreciate that.
Bye.
More and more, it seems, whenever we're talking about the ancient text and the ancient writers, even the writers of the Bible, when they talk about gods, they're not talking about gods at all. They're talking about other mortal human beings.
Yes, well, they were in a way considered immortal, and that needs some explaining. But the ancient peoples, Bill, did not call them gods at all. This is a term that I use simply because that's how people have come to learn the gods of Egypt, the Greek gods, Zeus and Aphrodite and so on. The Greeks were the first ones that coined the term Deus, which is an Indo-European word, which meant, by the way, the shiny one, also not God. But this is where we got this concept of God with the lowercase g.
Mm-hmm.
The Sumerians called them Anunnaki, which literally meant those who from heaven came to earth, which takes us back to the meaning of the word Nephilim in the Bible. And the Old Testament, in other chapters, of the book of Genesis, and even later on, says that the Nephilim were the same and part of the Anakim. And as I explain in my latest book, Anakim was simply, it's taken to mean giants again, was simply the Hebrew for Anunnaki, the Sumerian word. So these are the ones who from heaven came to earth. The Egyptians called the so-called gods of Egypt, called them Netero, which means the guardians. So none of the ancient peoples, the Babylonians called them Elu, which meant the lofty ones. None of them used the word God. It is only a concept that we have acquired from Greek words, Greek terminology.
All right. And we are going to get into a good deal more of that with you and Zecharia Sitchin tonight. I'm Bill Jenkins. It's Open Mind, based on his own personal experiences to teach people to experience expanded states of awareness, including the out-of-body state. We talk about that a lot here. The Gateway Weekend Workshop is a 3-day workshop. Now, the next that will be given is July 26th, 27th, and 28th. Robert Monroe, who will be a guest on the show again here in a few weeks, has developed a patented process called HemiSync. It's been determined that certain audio pulse frequencies, when heard through stereo headphones, will create expanded states of awareness. This process is used in the Gateway Weekend Workshop. Now, if you'd like more information, and I hope you do, call area code 213-393-9405. Monroe also offers a home study course of cassette tapes. To get more information on the Gateway Weekend Workshop or on the cassette tapes, call area code 213-393-9405. And they're ready to talk to you right now. Or attend their free lecture on July 18th. Call for more information. Area code 213-393-9405. We're 28 minutes past 10 on this Saturday night. It's Open Mind. With me, Zecharia Sitchin, his book, The Gods of Wars and Men. And Dan is on the line. Hello, Dan.
Hello, Bill. Hello, Mr. Sitchin. Mr. Sitchin, I'm particularly interested in the pyramid forgeries that you wrote about in the Stairway to Heaven.
Yes.
And I also wrote to you regarding that. Thank you for your kind response, sir. And regarding those forgeries, I'm curious as to whether academic archaeology is doing anything to investigate the forgeries or your hypothesis.
Well, let me tell you this first of all. In the Stairway to Heaven, which you mentioned, I arrived at the conclusion that the inscription attributing the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza to the Pharaoh Cheops, or Khufu in Egyptian, was actually a forgery perpetrated in 1837 by a British colonel by name of Howard Wisey, or his assistant, a fellow called Hill. That conclusion was reached by me based on a lot of evidence from that time and from research done by me afterwards at the British Museum. And that is where I left it. In other words, it was like a detective effort to show who the culprit was, and I left it at that. What you may not know, or others who have read the book, which was published in 1980, you may not know, is that about less than 2 years ago, I received a letter from an engineer in Pittsburgh. And he wrote to me and said, Mr. Sitchin, I read your book, The Stairway to Heaven, and what you say about the forgery in the Great Pyramid has been known in my family for the past 150 years. When I read that, I was flabbergasted. I called him by phone, and I said to him, Mr. Allen, what do you mean it has been known in your family for 150 years? How could that be? Well, he said, here is the story, and afterwards he sent me family records to support what he said. He said his great-grandfather was a master mason in England and went to Egypt at the time that Howard Wisey was there in order to help build an eye hospital for the Egyptians who were working for Colonel Wisey inside the pyramid. that plan did not